Hello and welcome to How to Win the Lottery Minnesota Module Vestments by John Reimringer. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I am Shreds.
Hello, Shreds. How are you doing this evening?
I'm tired. It's okay. We'll get through it.
We'll get through it. I've got some Twin Cities edition Minnesota facts for you.
Yeah. Bob Dylan, Prince.
In the last episode, we talked about Minnesota trivia and including
Which apparently I forgot everything about.
Mall of America.
Yeah.
Because then today in our text thread, you said something about, I didn't know that Mall of America was in Minnesota. I was like, we just talked about this.
Yeah.
This is not a quiz. So I just want you to sit back, relax, rest.
I'm relaxing.
And enjoy. Okay.
I got some facts too, so.
Are they Klobuchar facts?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. The Twin Cities nickname originally referred to a different pair of cities. Did you know that?
No.
Minneapolis was first called a Twin City in reference to St. Anthony, not St. Paul. St. Anthony, Minneapolis existed as separate towns on opposite sides of St. Anthony Falls, until they merged in 1872. So they were twin cities, got absorbed, different twin city.
Okay.
Meanwhile, St. Paul almost named Pig's Eye.
That's a better name than St. Paul. That rules.
P-I-G''S-E-Y-E. It was known as Pig's Eye or Pig's Eye Landing after Pierre Pig's Eye Parent, a bootlegger and fur trader who was blind in one eye and opened a popular tavern in the mid-1800s. The name was changed when the Catholic priest named Lucien Gaultier built a chapel.
All these people are so fucking French-Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Parent, Gaultier.
Built the chapel and named the parish St. Paul in the early 1840s Springs Apartments.
Okay.
The cities are geographically and culturally distinct. During the 1800s, the two cities were 14 miles apart, which is a full day's carriage ride. They weren't even connected by interstate highway, apparently, until 1968, which is a little surprising. But
that rules, yeah.
St. Paul was historically more Catholic and democratic, while Minneapolis was more Protestant and Republican, which we see a little bit of in this text.
Yeah.
Minneapolis became the flour milling capital of the world by 1870.
I'm not even sure what flour milling is.
I think it's the process of like distilling stuff into flour to mill it into flour.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yes. Okay.
Using St. Anthony Falls, aforementioned, to generate power for sawmills and flour mills. This earned it the nickname Mill City.
Boring. Yeah.
Minneapolis is a hybrid word. Do you know what the words mini and polis mean?
Polis is
it's not mini, it's MNI and polis, but yes.
So Polish polis is the political aspect of or the police state in ancient Greek city states that was run by men. Is that accurate?
I mean city, but yes.
Yeah, sure.
It's
But it's specifically in like opposition to oikos, which is the family unit, which is run by women. So you have the male and the feminine.
Isn't there a yogurt now called oikos?
There is, yeah. It's Greek yogurt.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And what does MNI mean? It is a Dakota word. Knowing what you know about Minneapolis, which we just established is not much. You don't remember much.
Cold.
Close. Water.
Water city.
Land of a Thousand Lakes, right?
Yeah, sure.
The name was proposed in 1852 by Charles Hoag, H-O-A-G, Hoag, the treasurer of Hennepin County. This ties directly to our interest here. Minneapolis ranks as America's most literate city.
No kidding.
Thanks to its abundance of libraries, bookstores, and newspapers, Minneapolis is the most literate city in the U.S., surpassing both Washington, D.C. and Seattle. St. Paul is fourth.
That rules.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I wouldn't have guessed that. It's probably Amy Klobuchar's doing, honestly.
It's probably we're inside for 5 months every winter. Can't go outside. We got to read something.
Yeah, but also let's give the Klobuchar some cred too.
Definitely. The metro area is home to numerous Fortune 500 companies. We talked about this last week. Target, United Health Group, Best Buy, 3M, and Super Value. 23 of the Fortune 1000 companies have headquarters there.
Annoying.
And nearly 60% of Minnesota's population lives in the Twin Cities metro.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
When reading this book, I kept thinking, where else could this book take place? And there are places in New Jersey that are very similar to this. It's not North Jersey, though. It's mostly like...
Well, North Jersey is Italian and Catholic. Like, it could be.
I guess so. But I was thinking like Little Egg Harbor and places like this. Because this feels kind of small towny.
I like to think that this podcast is a harbor for our little egg.
Okay. Moving on.
Because this feels like a very Minnesota novel, but I think what we have learned and what my takeaway is in every time we do a state is that all of these books can kind of take place anywhere. Like this feels very Minnesota, but also like it's just kind of there's the universal condition sort of faith and family and whatever. and it's very specifically Minnesota, very Minneapolis, St. Paul, but also could kind of be anywhere.
Well, Catholicism is regionally specific in America.
Okay.
Right. So that's, I think that's like part of that. Like you're not, I don't think there are that many Catholics in Mississippi.
I guess I never really thought about that. I mean, Christianity is big, but that's all Protestant. It's all Protestant down there?
Yeah, Baptist. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, anything that's not Catholic is Protestant, essentially, right?
Yeah. Okay. So Catholic is specifically largely people who came from like England or Italy or whatever, like from Europe, who stayed true to those beliefs.
Yeah. You know who'd be lighting us up right now with facts is Dylan. Can't have a conversation like this around Dylan without him like being frankly annoying with the amount of stuff that he knows about this.
We will pass.
Yeah. You don't want to call him right now
No.
and get some facts about the demographic.
No, we have a lot to talk about this book. If this was another book, maybe we'd get him on the phone for 15, 20 minutes, but no, we're good. But you think, so it could be not anywhere, but it could be kind of a lot of places.
It could be. But I think that there's like a working class Catholicism to this book that is interesting. And it does feel regionally specific to me. Although I don't know why it feels like that. I think maybe he just does such a good job of painting the relationships in the text, because there's also like again, not something that is specific to Minneapolis, but when he's talking about like the racial demographics and things like that could be almost any city in America. But it does the way that he paints it does feel like, I don't know, it feels so specific to you get a real vision of the place.
If you are listening to this right now, come back next week because we will be talking to him. So we will get a sense of his Minneapolis roots. But I think he's like a Minneapolis, Minnesota boy through and through.
I mean, it seems like, I think anyone that is writing, I feel like people that aren't anchored to a place or don't have, or a place didn't get in their bones, they tend to write more generically than this, or not about the place at all, but about like.
Well, what I like about like the specific of this, and this is something that could be swapped out sort of easily, is just like walking to a bar and the Twins are on TV. Like it could be like, oh, walking and the Royals are on TV, or like Indians are on, the 90s or whatever, right? Like it could be any team in the Midwest or wherever, but it's just something about like growing up, like at the end when he talks about when Father Jim talks about like going to sleep while watching, like listening to the Twins on the radio and just like the names of his childhood, like hearing them as he drifts off to sleep. Like it's so, and again, that's like baseball. That's the Great American Novel. That's the state modules. That's just like what America is basically. And it's a lot of young boys growing up on baseball.
Yeah.
And even if they don't like play sports forever, like it's still in their blood. And like it's a way to talk to their dads or whatever.
Yeah. I thought about buying a Twins hat because of this book. Like when I was reading it, I was like, I should get a Twins hat.
Yeah.
I like the Twins.
Although
they're a fun team.
I feel like as a Lions fan, a Lions Twins thing is kind of
doesn't matter.
You don't think so?
I'm not regionally specific to that. That doesn't. I mean, I love Detroit, but I've never been to Detroit, so
we can go. I've been I've been twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to go back. But yeah. What is Vestments about, and what did you think of Vestments?
I loved it. This was I think a real like discovery.
A real home run?
Because
baseball.
I had a lot of trouble creating the Minnesota module.
Yes.
And so what I did was I started looking at presses instead of like looking through
Are this and the last book both from the same press?
Yeah, Milk Weed
okay,
Press.
Because in the Kindle of both, at the end when you go to it, it's just like, hey, thanks for reading, want another free book? And like there's a QR code to scan and get a free book. So I was like, this is either a more common thing than I think, or it's the same press.
Yeah, it's funny because the reason why I did Ruby and Roland was because Milkweed is an interesting press.
Is Milkweed like a Midwest or Minnesota thing? Or
yeah,
no?
I don't think it's a Minnesota thing.
Okay.
Or it might be, but I think it's just like a middle of the country deal.
Milkweed Press is Minneapolis.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. 1979. He did, when I was emailing with him a little bit, he asked what other Minnesota books we were reading. And so I wonder if he has other recommendations.
I hope so. Because I feel like I blew it. But I didn't, because we found Vestments, and that's
you took on a very difficult challenge that no one asked for, which is to create state modules for 50 states.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk about this book, though.
What's it about?
Plot-wise, it's very light. it's not a plot book.
No.
It's so much as it is a character book. But it's about a priest, and it is deals with multiple timelines.
I think 2, pretty much, right?
Yeah, and it's very artfully. Those timelines are, I think, very artfully stitched together so that they feel seamless. And I was something that I was really curious about was how to balance those 2 timelines so that one thing is informing the other on a page by page basis. Like that seemed like it was really, really artfully threaded through so that it kept building. Because it's a long time. It is like quite a long time in the text before you really know why he's on break.
Well, I think that there's a looming sense of dread that you know that he had trouble with a woman, right?
Yeah.
That he was improper to his faith or he, had some kind of affair. And sort of early in the text, you see him make out with this woman.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, this can't be it. And you're like, and there's so much of the book left. You're like, it's got to be that. And then at the end, like you sort of, I was reading with like this dread that like, oh, like he dabbled, now it's going to get worse. He's going to go back to her. He's going to go back to Betty or whatever. And then no, it's just that. And so there is something I think maybe we were talking about in a recent-ish book while we were recording, it's a couple seasons ago now, but the Poisonwood Bible about when a big plot moment happens and like how much of the text is left. It's just like, well, this is like the downfall.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like smartly buried early where you're like, oh, this can't possibly, like, sure, it was not the right thing to do, but it feels inconsequential.
Well, I think because it's a bit of a head fake, right?
Yeah.
It's saying, here's the quote unquote plotty thing, but like really we're just building to this wedding and to the grandfather's eventual death.
Right.
It's a journey of like this guy dealing with his faith. There's also the other thing in it that is really like plotty or feels fictional, but I don't mean that in a pejorative way, because I think it slots in nicely, is the suicide that he witnesses. He tries to stop the guy from killing himself, and the guy shoots himself with a shotgun.
Yeah, Tim Harley.
And that feels, again, that if that were at a different part in the book, if that were placed in a way where it was like, this is the book's climax,
right,
and then that's the reason and everything happened, it would feel very fake in a way that the stuff in outside, the way in Outside In, the thing that is the inciting incident in that book feels really fucking fake because it doesn't actually inform anything in a natural way. It's just purely the death of this kid from OxyContin as a way to like get the plot rolling.
I mean, like the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the opposite of that. It's like, it's this thing that you would feel in any other book would be a plot device.
Right.
But it's not a plot device. It's just a thing that happens.
No, it's like cumulative like grief or like, is this guy fucking up irrevocably, right? Where it's like, he is... Like, I think a lot of this book is like how much sin we all live in, just like with that, with like a tolerance for sin. Because like this priest drinks and smokes and curses and plays poker, and all of that is like, is this going to lead to his downfall? And like the answer is not really, no.
Yeah.
And then it's also partly like, well, did that contribute to him not being able to get to? Because like Tim Harley's parents say, please talk to him, and he can't find him. And then when he finally finds him, it's too late because the cops are like, he's in there, he's suicidal.
And he shot a guy already.
Yeah.
And the reason, I mean, and again, this is so dramatic. It's like Tim Harley, the reason he kills himself is because, I mean, there's no real one reason, but it's partially like, I can't go back to prison because
I get raped in prison.
Because I get raped in prison. And that's something that, again, feels very fiction-y, but at the same time, it's placed in such a context that it doesn't have the effect that it would have in fiction where it's like this heartbreaking reveal. It's just like, here's how life is, and here's a thing that happened.
Yep.
And we have to then live with this thing that happened. Because the thing that in books that rely on very traditional structure, what happens is you have a suicide, and then you have a little bit of falling action, and then you don't. Like the rest of it is like we don't go back to it. And this, it's the death of Tim Harley lives with us for the next 200 pages.
Yeah, I think also what this benefits from is like small town, everybody knows everybody, and just like he can't get away. And like when he goes to the funeral, the newspaper reporter, again, maybe my favorite character in the book because love a journalist, love Stonecutter, is just there and just like, because he is reporting on it, but also knows the guy and just has to ask Father Jim about, what he's saying. He's just like, I can't talk about that, right? But like,
Yeah.
they all know him. He's just there. Like, it's a thing that happens. And like, also this guy who, the newspaper guy, is also the ex-boyfriend and future boyfriend of the guy that he makes out, or the girl he makes out with. Like, it's all like, everybody is so interconnected,
Which
can't
also,
escape.
like in a worse book,
Yeah.
that guy Stonecutter would have been a prick.
Yeah.
And he would have been like the villain. And in this book, it's just immediately you're like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah.
He's like a good dude.
Kind of a hero.
And you're rooting for him, and he's nice to the priest, and he's seems to have is it Diane or Diana? Diana's best intentions in mind.
He's like the one guy that she can be with and like doesn't have to like hide from, right?
Yeah, and he takes her away, and they I think eventually get married. And again, another thing that in another book would have felt fake was Diana's entire backstory, where she's the daughter of the what is she? The daughter of the priest, and so that gives her like sort of priest daddy issues. So she ends up with
this whole book's about daddy issues
with
though.
Nick and with Jim, and again, that would be an entire book.
Yep.
Just that.
Yep.
Her dealing with those specific issues. But in this book, it could, because it's such like basic social realism, it's just saying this is what life is.
Yep.
And people have these problems that are immense, but we bury them and we live with them and we move on, and it's on to the next thing.
Yeah. I just want to say the last thing about Stonecutter is that's 2 books in a row. Minnesota, best character maybe, is newspaper guy. We got Dennis in Ruby and Roland. We got Stonecutter here. Don't know what American Boy has in store for us, but hope there's a newspaper boy in there somewhere. Maybe the titular American Boy is a newspaper boy.
Also Stonecutter, classic Secret Society and The Simpsons.
Yeah. There you go. There was something you just said that I wanted to... Oh, daddy issues. Because I feel
daddy issues.
There's so much in here about like the father as in priest, but also father as in the old man who is so overbearing on both Jim and Jackie. And then his father who is dying in the hospital. And everybody's got daddy issues. And I feel like that is such a, not in a bad way saying this word, but like stereotype in fiction and literature and whatever, but also just really feels earned and true to this group and this society and this text.
And Catholicism in general, right? You're creating daddy issues with the whole father thing. I mean, what is Christianity if not daddy issues?
Right. Yeah. And then I think that's why like it feels inevitable that Otto will die or whatever by the end, because it has to, like, there has to be some kind of catharsis and there has to be some kind of like actual confrontation. Like when Jim's dad, I don't remember, what's Jim's dad's first name? Do we know? He's always referred to as the old man.
I don't know. That's a good question.
But he like, I think in the first, when we first see him, he like bursts into the house with like cigarettes rolled up in his sleeve and tattoos and just like, oh, this guy's like a stereotypical like 50s biker boy, whatever. Yeah. But just like, seems like to have a lot of good skills, but also just like can't talk to people and is just a hard ass and
can't stop getting into bar fights.
Yep.
And then seems to also never get arrested for those bar fights because he's like fighting in the specific place where you're kind of allowed to fight with
or
people,
he knows
I guess.
who to fight with or who not to fight with. Although he also tells lies about like breaking Bob Dylan's nose. And that's why they're like, no, man.
It's funny.
A lot of like, I think a lot of this book sort of feels inevitable, but not in a bad way. Cause it's just like, this is how life plays out.
Yeah. I will say all the priests that I knew also smoked cigarettes and I think drank pretty heavily.
And played poker.
I don't know about that.
And swore.
I don't remember priests swearing because I was a child when I was around priests, but yeah, they were all smoking cigarettes all the time.
It's just funny to me that they're all like at like a church function where everybody be like, okay, time to go play poker. And they're like, yep. And they all just go and they just start drinking and smoking and playing poker in a basement somewhere or like at a bar. And
yeah, I think this book does a really good job of demystifying the idea of a priest, because so many of the things that are the sort of internal monologue of Jim are things where I'm like, yeah, I definitely do that. Where it's like if I'm talking to a priest, it's like I got to talk about God, and it's like that priest. Just
Oh yeah,
wants
where he
to
says
talk.
at the very end, he's just like, I don't want to wear this because like I don't want to give the impression that like all a priest wants to talk about is God.
Yeah, it's like that because you get from this guy like one of the very first scenes that you have with him is him playing pickup basketball with a bunch of teenagers, and the kids are using slurs and they're cursing, and then once he says that he's a priest, they get kind of ashamed, and he's just like, whatever, It's like you're just being a human being. Yeah, we never think of priests as being people that gamble or people that curse or people that fight or play sports or get angry but obviously they do. Obviously they're just like regular people who have literally all the vices that other human beings have.
Okay. I was wondering because another big part of this about like the priest thing, but something that we do know is about like the church moving people around to hide scandals and whatever. And he talks about like the thing out of Boston. I was wondering if it was the Spotlight journalist, but that was like a decade later. Like that was like 2002. I just Googled. So like, I don't know. I guess that's still like,
no,
maybe
but that's that stuff with priests getting moved around has been around
for decades.
Yeah,
right.
forever.
But I was wondering if he was referring, because he specifically, I think, early references like Boston. And I was like, oh, that's the Globe. And that's like the Spotlight team. And that's like, but their article, I think, was published in 2002. So I think this must just be like.
Also, I'm imagining if you're part of the clergy, you probably knew about that.
Right.
Right. Like you know that people are getting moved. Even if you don't know why people are getting moved down, you're probably like, oh, a lot of people getting moved around in Boston.
But there is something also that I did not grow up Catholic. And I know that the Egg did. And she wrote in about that. And I think you said you did somewhat.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, I grew up Methodist and like this could not be farther from like anything that I know, but like the Methodist church just moves priests or ministers around because like, they're like, well, don't get too comfortable there. We're just going to bounce you around. But like, this is like, we're literally like moving you around so you don't get, you don't get caught. We don't look bad because you do something bad. But I think that there is something very interesting after Mick gets bounced for sleeping with Diana and then Jim gets bounced for just making out with Diana. And they say, George says, quote, Mick's wrong, but he believes in what he's doing and he's smart about it. You're an idealist. And it's like, well, if you played the game better,
like
you wouldn't get sent to Timbuktu. He gets to go to Rome because like he's good at the game.
Yeah, like all jobs. It's not even about being good at the job. It's about being good at the talking with people and being charismatic and stuff.
That's throughout this text too. Like early on, he's like, you got to learn how to be a priest. Like this is not a thing that like, which is, I think to me a weird thing to think about, but like it is just a job, but you have to be good at it. Like you can be good or bad at being a priest. Like just being devout is not the entire thing.
No, priests have to be. I always actually wondered about this because you have to craft a sermon at least weekly, right?
I think so. I mean, so from my understand, at least how my church was, there were a couple of repeat sermons every once in a while, but I think it would generally be, I think maybe the church or like the district that you're in or whatever would be like, here's the themes this week, or here's like the verses, the Bible verses or whatever. And then you would sort of like build a thing around that. But like what I enjoyed about going to church when I was growing up and then I stopped when I went to college was one minister in particular she was very good at female, lady, progressive.
Sure.
Was very good at like telling a story and like landing it in a way that like really like you don't even realize that it's the end of the story until it's at the end, but like you learn a message and also you hear like it was public speaking, which was very impressive. Yeah. But also she had to do that every week and it was just like I don't know.
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
I mean, I have to craft 40 minutes for every class every day, but a lot of that is call and response and asking questions and having kids listen, and I can have them write and stuff.
And if you're a lazy teacher, you could recycle those year over year, right? And be like, here's our 10 days on Gatsby or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, 10 days. That's ambitious.
Here's our 30 days on Gatsby.
Here's our 2 months on Gatsby. But I admire that the crafting of that. This book also did a thing that I have thought about a lot in my life. As a non-believer, as someone who does not believe in God, but also really, really likes religion. Because I think I think Jim is a believer, right? And you get a real strong sense of that when he gives the speech at the very end about at the wedding. But
I will say Reimringer like closes it strong, like the whole the wedding thing, and then also like the prayer he gives to Minnesota. I'm just like, this
nails it. Nails it. But like my interest in religion, especially in Catholicism, is around ritual. Like there are so many people that say that thing where it's like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, because they like believe in God, but they don't believe in the organized religion aspect of things. And I kind of feel the exact opposite way. It's like I like the ritual and the like
the comfort of that.
Yeah, I like you have to hold your hands in a certain way to accept the communion, or you have to stick your tongue out and you have to say the prayer and move your hands in a certain order. You have to genuflect before you go into the booth, and there's a certain way to like do everything, and there's clothing and symbols, and it's such like a symbolically rich thing that it really scratches a particular itch. And like I feel in a lot of ways that religion justifies itself through that symbolism, because I think like the thing that separates humans from animals in a lot of ways, that we have a symbolic order that they don't have, and we have art that they don't have, and that art creates, and the symbolic thing that we create is as real as anything else. So religion creates God rather than the other way around. And so I think that for as much damage as it does, which I think probably there's not a human alive that would say that religion hasn't done any damage to the world, there is something beautiful about the way that it creates community, and also a specific reference point for community, because we all need like a sun that we can revolve around, and I think it being that focal point probably helps people in a real way, because we're putting order into a chaotic universe through creating systems, and I think that is the real purpose of religion, and so I like that ritualized aspect of it.
Of creating order is the purpose, or creating like peace?
Both, but it's a double-edged sword, because in forcing a system onto chaos to create order, you also create coercive power structures, which result in hierarchy and abuse, and all of those like very, very dangerous things,
and fear and all sorts of stuff,
and fear,
right?
And fear, but also the toothpaste out of the tube. We're not like Catholicism's here, guys. Like, let's enjoy the pomp and the outfits and the ritual of it, because I think that does. I mean, it provides me with peace. I like stuff like that.
I think this book also shows a thing that I've never really thought about. Like, you think about like the priest being celibate, like that being a whole part of the thing, but it's also like, I'm just lonely, man. Like, it's not even just for like women or for like the body, but like just he's lonely for companionship.
Yeah. I'm interested in that too, because I think that there are people in this world that can't imagine being celibate. That's like, that would be the hardest thing in the world. And to me, that's not, I think it'd be like fairly easy to just be like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to do that anymore. And that's something that I don't know that he struggles all that much with in the book, even though he does break that vow.
Well, it seems like a lot of it is him being like, oh, like there's a line. Let me see if I bookmarked it, where he's talking about Diana. I think it's the scene where he, like, it, to me, is more suggestive or erotic than making out with her. The sky blue softball uniform set off her tan, and I wanted very much to touch her upper arms where the sky and her skin came together. And I'm like, that is like so horny about a thing that's just like a little line of like skin meeting shirt. But it's like, this guy is pretty good at staying celibate, but also like, that guy's horny. Like, that guy is.
But that's where the horniness lives, in that stuff. That's what's so good about, to reference a very specific pop cultural moment. That's what's so good about the novel Wuthering Heights. That's what's so good about the novel Pride and Prejudice.
Well, that movie came out 3 months ago as this episode comes out, but yes.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. But it so the, like, again, to reference Wattpad, which I referenced a lot in the Ruby and Roland episode, like the Wattpadification of that is to remove all of the skill and the purpose of creating that atmosphere by just saying like, and then the balls are slapping against the ass, and you can really hear the gushing of the pussy, man, and like,
Jesus, okay,
no, but that's what
I know.
That's what they're doing, and it's fucking stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, Reimringer does it right. I
also like in that same scene, he says, Diana leaned forward and poured cream into 1 cup of coffee. The movement wafted healthy sense of green grass and infield dirt my way. And I'm like, that's good. That's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's anybody, and we talked about this we didn't do a sports did we do a sports module?
No.
But we've done sports books.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot on here about.
I mean, we've done 2 sports books. I don't know what else there were. We did End Zone and we did The Art of Fielding.
With Jest.
Yeah. All right, that's sports book 10.
But I think more so like Art of Fielding, or maybe also ends. I mean, all 3 of them probably, but like, and I know that I've mentioned probably on here like Klosterman, like authors who are able to like romanticize without going into like too flowery about like the beauty of sports is like that is like she smelled like baseball, just like that's good. That's the good stuff.
You were I assumed that it was you that I was talking with. You were just reading Wallace's book on tennis.
Well, no, I was reading him going to Wimbledon. He was writing about Federer.
Yeah,
and about how Federer is just like
it's got
God's
that,
gift to man.
Yeah, it has that thing in it where he talks about like his eyeballs popping out like some novelty shop eyeballs, and his wife coming in.
It's just like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, and that, I mean, I read that essay 10 years ago, you know, and like when you said you were reading that, I was like, I had that at the tip of my brain.
Yeah.
Just this description that he has of witnessing Federer do something. So yeah, I mean, sports is sports is in the descriptive lexicon of the American brain, just because that's where our mythology comes from as religion fades away.
Yeah. The Church of Baseball or whatever. Also, speaking of baseball, shout out to Hams, a beer that I did not know existed until we went to a Guardians game last summer.
Yeah, you took that picture and sent it.
And yeah, they mention Hams a couple times in the book.
And it's hard as a motherfucker.
Yeah. And Hams, just a Midwest beer.
Yeah. What did you think of the violence in the book? Because there's quite a bit of it.
The dad is violent. The Tim Harley suicide is violent.
Yeah. I think, I guess, like, I thought a lot about the dad beating up Hank, sucker punching Jim at the end of the book and like giving him a concussion and fucking up his eye.
Well, so this is not directly thing, but we just watched Sorcerer for Too Fast. And there is at the beginning when Roy Scheider and his crew are robbing that church, like either the collection plates or the poker game or whatever they're robbing at the church based on a real robbery. And there's the wedding taking place, and the wife to be has a black eye, and it's just like, oh Jesus. So like to see that and be like, what is she getting herself into? But then here to have the priest have a black eye, it's just like, what happened there?
I like it.
But he deflects it well. He's just like, it was about a guy who's sad that his dad is dying. And it's just like, let's move on. And it's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there is like, it never feels like a ticking time bomb where like his dad is going to do something that's going to ruin everything. Like, I don't think he's ever going to ruin the wedding or kill someone or whatever. It's just like, the guy's kind of an asshole. And like, he's really good at dealing with it because he has to be really good at dealing with it. Like cracking jokes that make his dad smile at the wedding. Just like
and also like there is something, even though it is, St. Paul's not a small town, but like there is something small town, or at least not like East Coast liberal elite, about sticking by that dad and not just being like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to that guy anymore. He is out of my life.
But also something very real about like, why do you always have dinner here on Sundays? Like, I don't. It's like, well, you did last week and the week before, and we did tonight. And he's like, okay, whatever. And then he goes back next week and the dad's not there because he like was found out or whatever. Like there's something so stubborn about.
Yeah. That's so good. It's such a like felt observation.
Yeah.
The other thing, I was talking with Meg about this, because Meg was like, this book seriously triggered me. A lot of her youth was based on the Catholicism. And like something that like quote unquote triggered me about this book was like, this is like, my dude never did this, but like the stuff of the guy screaming help at the in the home, like that shit is real.
Yeah.
Like in both emergency rooms and old folks homes, there are like people that are just all the time going like, help. And then, and you're there just to like observe, like you're there with whoever you're there with.
Yeah.
And like part of you is like, will someone fucking go help that guy? And they're just like,
I remember I have not had like prolonged stints with that, but I remember when my grandfather was in the hospital, like leading up to when he died, I remember it was probably because it was my first time seeing that kind of stuff, but I was like 17, 18 or whatever. And like, just like walking through the hospital, like walking through like an ICU or whatever, and just like still in my head, like seeing things that I will never be able to unsee because it's just like, this is just grisly.
Yeah.
And it's not even like the worst things I've ever seen, but just like, oh, this is like people going through terrible things that like you're powerless and they're powerless too. And just like, oh.
Yeah, you spend enough time in emergency rooms and you see like there's always someone screaming for help.
Yeah.
And they can never get that help to them quick enough, or they are ignoring the scream for help because there's nothing they can do about it, or the person's not going to stop even after they help them. So, or they've done all they can, et cetera, et cetera. And you always feel indignant because you're just like, why isn't that person getting any help? But at the same time, it's like, they know what they're doing.
There's a lot of crazy that you have to see. Like, imagine like working there, or like just being like, whether you're there with somebody you love, or just like being the intake nurse or whatever. Like,
yeah, so when people scream help like that, or when I witnessed that in the room, it's like, that is the most dramatic moment of my life and of those people's lives.
mm-hmm.
Right. But for the people that work in the emergency room, and priests, I'm imagining, because priests hear confessions
Sure.
and they hear all this stuff. Like, for them, it is like they've seen that 40 times that day.
Yeah.
And it is like never, I mean, it is the quote unquote emergency room. It is, and the old folks home is like, they've been dealing with the old people that are on the brink of death constantly. But like, they just see it over and over again.
I mean, I think that's something that the pit does well, where it's like, it's showing the people who have seen it a million times, and also the people first day on the job who are like haunted by it, but also like the people who've seen it a million times, depending on who it was or what it evokes or whatever, like, can still be haunted by it.
Yeah. Did you watch The Young Pope?
Yes.
Was it good?
Love the young Pope. No, yeah. Love the young Pope. Don't love the new Pope.
And did that guy do that movie that we watched that looked like a perfume commercial that had the Akira baby in it?
Oh, with the really, really beautiful woman in it.
Parthenope?
Parthenope. Yes.
Parthenope.
Yes.
He did?
Paolo Sorrentino.
Yeah.
Because he also did La Bellezza, La Grande Bellezza, The Great Beauty, and The Hand of God, and he did Youth. Yeah. I would say The Young Pope is worth watching.
But he's the priest guy. And he's crafting a version of the priesthood, and specific because he's talking about popes and shit, which is way different than being a priest in Minnesota.
He's the priest guy in the way that you want the Catholic Church. Like, he's the ornate shit guy.
Yeah.
Because like, what is great about the young Pope is like, what if we had like a sexy young Pope, and then the second season,
who smokes cigarettes, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. Love it. But then the second season is more like, okay, we already did the Jude Law thing. Now it's the John Malkovich thing. And like, to me, that's less interesting.
Yeah.
The Jude Law one is incredible. Like, I strongly recommend. I've only seen it once, but like, I love that season. So yes, watch that.
It's funny because it's so different from, what Reimringer's doing here, which is like,
there's not a single jewel in this entire deck.
Yeah. And I mean, I like that too. Because what I think, for all my love of all the ritual of religion, I also like, people in a basement talking, right? I like the Quaker meeting house aesthetic.
Or just the idea that like he's in the confession booth and his mom comes in and he recognizes her voice. Like, that's like something like really powerful and just, I want to say, like, I said this to you via text. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna say this but I don't think it's an insult. Like, this book feels Minnesota, where it's like, he's just like kind of doing the work. Like, it's not flashy. It's not the young Pope. It's not the ornate,
that's
like
what I'm
Catholicism. It's like, this is just like what life is like for a Midwest priest.
Right. Something. It's a working class version of the priesthood, which
most priests are probably working
99% of them.
There is, so the other sort of big thing that we have not talked about, like why he actually gets removed from the church or like asked to relocate and then steps down to teach free, or is because his housekeeper, who he does not want because he feels like it's not needed, but she's been there longer than he has, and she's been there for like decades, and who is he to deprive her of a livelihood? And so like from the beginning, you're like, oh, well, she shouldn't be there. And then she snoops and finds the letter and turns the letter in. And they even have like the hierarchy. It's like priest, housekeeper, priest dog, assistant priest, and just like, like she's important. And there's something, I don't know if it's ironic or just the idea that like he was too kind to let her go, or like it was his goodness that actually made his sin bubble to the surface or something, where if he had just been like, I don't need this. Because again, and talking about the ornate things, like a guy living like a very sparse, like a barren lifestyle, like there's no art, there's nothing. It's just like she's cooking him food that he doesn't enjoy eating. And like,
And Mick initially declines. Mick initially is like, I don't need a housekeeper, whatever.
Right.
That's like fine.
And so for him to be like, no, she can stick around, and then for that to be his downfall, essentially, it's not really, but like to lead to his downfall is, you know.
What do we think of all the stuff in the past with Betty and the abortion?
Betty seems great.
She does. She would be, if we still had our board,
Betty be an A.
Our whiteboard,
S.
she'd be at the top. You want to hang out with Betty?
Yeah, I have a picture of that before I erased it. We have there used to be a Patreon bonus feature of how much we would like to hang out with people in the text.
Yeah, I'd hang out with all these people.
Yeah.
The dad would be hard to hang out with.
I would drink at a bar with the dad and watch baseball, like watch Twins game though.
Yeah, Jackie would be fun to hang out with.
I also think, and maybe it's just the 90s or maybe it's like whatever, but it feels so smoky in every single one of those bars. Yeah. It just it feels gross.
Yeah, but also not. It feels like how I grew up. Yeah. Like every single person in my life smoked cigarettes until I moved out of the house. So and then even then, when I lived in California, you weren't allowed to smoke anywhere, but all my roommates smoked. So
there was a bar like 5 or 10 years ago I went to it. Like I think it was before COVID, but like there's still like at least 1 or 2 bars in Philly that allowed smoking. And it was just like disgusting. And like I had a friend who wanted to go there, and I was just like, why? Like, because he wanted to smoke in a bar. I'm just like, this is gross.
Yeah.
For someone who doesn't smoke in a bar to go to a bar that allows smoking, it's like people had that on planes until like the 90s or something.
But it was also a reality for so long. I remember just like when I first started going to bars, everyone was smoking in the bars.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a total relic of the past.
Mm-hmm. In terms of baseball, I do like the Twins as, quote, the thing we can talk about when we have nothing else to talk about. It's like, that's baseball, that's sports.
Yeah, that's the thing where, there are all sorts of like reels or memes that are just like, I sat next to 2 old men and all they did was name pitchers from the 90s for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, that's 100% what people do.
Well, we had there was a thing going around where, can you name 2,000 athletes? And it's like, well, not current, but like all time. Yeah, probably.
Not even probably, easily.
2,000 is a lot though.
I don't know that I could do it myself, but if we get all of the
league.
Yeah. If we get all of us in a room, I think we could do it in 2 hours, maybe.
So that's 1,000 an hour. That's 16 a minute. It's 1 every 4 seconds for 2 hours.
That could be fine. I think we could do that.
Somebody has to keep typing though. I have to keep typing.
No, it wouldn't be like we're all yelling names at you. It's like we would break into groups and it would be like, okay, that's the hockey group. They're doing just hockey. They're doing just basketball. They're doing just football. They're doing just baseball. And then we have other splinter things like MMA and gymnastics or whatever. And then once we exhaust, then you rotate and then you read the list and see if you can add anybody to it.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like reading a list though is a real time suck.
Maybe.
But yeah,
I think we could. I mean, we're going to try, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
We got
Marty Mauser and the guy he played against table tennis 2.
Marty Mauser's not a real person.
Yeah.
Is it actually Marty Mauser though?
Mm-hmm.
That's his name? Mm-hmm. It's not. I thought it was something else.
I think it's Marty Mauser. Marty Reisman, Marty Mauser.
Yeah,
wait.
Marty Reisman.
Okay. Marty Reisman.
Yeah, so you can't say Marty Mauser. You wouldn't get credit for that. That's like saying Forrest Gump.
Ping pong. Yeah. Table tennis. Other thoughts about
investments? What do you
think of the title? I mean, it denotes the garment, the cloak, the official thing, like the attire, the outfit, uniform.
I think it's about that. It's about the dressing that you put on, and the like adhering to.
There's not more than one meaning though. It's just like that's the thing, but it's like
I don't think so. I think it's just the robes,
but it works.
Yeah, okay. It's a beautiful cover to the book too.
Yeah,
where it's just the
sunset.
No, it's the landscape with the vestments and they're like kind of clear.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have an email address, lottery.
I loved it. I loved this book. I thought it was one of the best discoveries of books that I like otherwise didn't really know anything about at all that we've had the whole time.
Yeah. He did good.
I like priests when they punch each other. Because he beats the shit out of Mick too. That's awesome.
And Mick's just like, yeah, I walked into the door.
Fucking priest that fight?
Yeah.
Isn't that some bullshit in the new Knives Out movie too?
I didn't see it.
I think he's like a boxing priest.
I want to see it. I just haven't seen it because
I don't care about it. I like Josh O'Connor, but I don't.
I like that you have evolved into like watching every movie, but there's like a line that you're just like, I'm not going to watch those movies.
Or just like, yeah, there's certain people that I'm just like, yeah, I know that I'm not going to like that.
Yeah, like Matt's saying to watch Begonia, don't watch Begonia.
Yeah.
Email address lottery@cageclub.me. We got Meg's reaction to Vestments. Short email. I like this book against my will. I went into it thinking I was going to hate it, but I actually liked it a lot. As someone who grew up in a very Catholic family, so much of this felt true to life. There was a scene toward the end where James is putting his priest clothes on, specifically when he's flipping the stolen chasuble
yeah.
over his head. I was an altar server as a kid, and I was instantly teleported to watching my priest do it. It was like when you smell a smell and it connects you to a specific memory. Reading these descriptions brought me back to my own childhood. I guess also the same thing that I did with like infield dirt and grass, right?
Yeah,
like
she's trolling me with that smell bullshit though.
Oh yeah. It's for deodorant or like Old Spice or shampoo or something where it's like scent is the strongest sense tied to memory.
That's what they say.
All in all, a really great novel. I hope that John Reimringer writes something else so I can read that too.
Yeah, I would. It's so funny because I think sometimes when we read books that feel so lived in.
Yep.
My guess, before speaking to him, my guess is that he was an altar boy and that he grew up very much in the church.
Because I looked up to find his contact info and I found not a lot of information about him, but I think he's just largely like a writer, a teacher, not even like I think this is his one text, and I think he is just mostly like a teacher of, writing. So
my guess is that he grew up an altar boy and that he was very much Catholic and thought about it a lot. And so I think whenever a text feels super lived in, the worry about a second text is like, well, what are you going to write about now? You already wrote about the thing that's like super lived in for you, So that might be something worth talking about.
We have one YouTube comment too, and this is not I don't remember having this conversation, but I have since watched what this is in reference to. But on the Atlas by William T. Vollmann episode, James Farkas says, I think you mean there are 3 directors who understand Stephen King and did multiple adaptations. Don't forget about Rob Reiner. And I said, true. But Rob Reiner did Misery.
Yeah, and Stand By Me.
Stand By Me?
Yeah.
Misery's really good.
Yeah, they're both great.
But
who did we left him out because we said who are the other guys that did?
Darabont, I'm sure we talked about.
And then Flanagan?
Ugh.
Yeah, fuck that. I hate that guy.
Ugh.
He doesn't count. Andy Machete? Who's the other guy, if not Reiner?
Frank Darabont, Rob Reiner, Mick Garris?
Oh, Mick Garris, sure.
Did Shining miniseries, Sleepwalkers, The Stand, Quicksilver Highway, Riding the Bullet, Desperation, Bag of Bones. Tom Holland did The Langoliers and Thinner. I love The Langoliers, man.
Okay.
Never read the book. Love the VHS, the double VHS.
Maybe we should read the book.
Louis Teague did Cujo and Cat's Eye. Andy Muschietti did It and It Chapter 2.
Yeah, those stink.
Anyway, we could do. You
really want this King module, huh?
We had an idea. I mean, there's a lot of the King that because I just listened to. The podcast is like 4 years old at this point. But with Gorley and the Rest, which I really like, did an entire 10 movie season on Stephen King things. And unlike, they did The Mist, which they both really liked. And I was just like, I don't like The Mist. I think it's too long. I think there's problems with it. A lot of the 80s and 90s adaptations are like really good. And I've never read like any of those books. Like I've only read a handful of his books and they've all been mostly more recent. So I don't know that we need to do, because also Egg would have a problem with it, right? Egg's not a big King guy, but I think there are more interesting ways to approach it. But we got modules coming out the wazoo.
Yeah, we got arguably too many modules.
But
I did like that thing that I sent you. That was the Bad Bunny,
yeah.
Like going through the like countries and.
Is that just something like the book that is most emblematic of that country? Because like, what is East of Eden for U.S.? Is that like the most American module?
No, I don't know. I really don't know, because a lot of those books I wasn't familiar with.
It's just like a book that person likes from each country.
Yeah, I think it's just like doing what we're doing with the state modules, but for countries.
We're gonna get there in 30 years or something.
Maybe.
Just keep reading along with us. Should I change it to that? Keep reading along with us? No, that's too wordy.
Too many words.
Keep reading.
Yeah. Today's crime is calling it a bomb threat.